What about, do you guys, you've openings that you're recruiting for?
Yeah, we're always recruiting. I mean, we're deliberate in terms of the people we hire and where we hire them, et cetera. But yeah, we brought on a number of new people. I'm bringing on another one July 10th, et cetera. But we have engineering openings. We have direct sales openings. We have channel openings. We have SDR openings, et cetera. So, just go to our website. Basically, if you're willing to work hard, you're smart enough to really grasp the right tech and to be able to respect the sales strategy, you're probably going to have a good time. I mean, this culture is unbeatable at Kato. Culture is, it's extremely flat. And, it just, when I was interviewing, there were a couple of lines that just really kind of hit me hard. One was where, Kato is the place where A players are the norm, not the exception. And the other one was there's no work beneath us. So in other words, basically, I don't care if you're a senior vice president or you're a CEO, you still need to be able to do the work and understand the detail.
Wow, that's awesome. And then do you say, like, for incoming, sales or SDR folks, do you care where they live, or I assume everybody's kind of just dispersed everywhere?
Yeah, everybody's pretty virtual, but we are a big believer in people that sell in a territory need to be in a territory.
Yep.
So whether that means working from your house or working from an office, that's kind of up to you. Obviously, Tel Aviv is a little bit different. Tel Aviv is headquarters, and when you have the R&D and you have the finance community consolidated, it's a little bit more in the office.
Cool. All right. Well, by chance, Shannon's fiance, Matt's sister, Carly, actually just texted me before, and she's a hot ticket. So I'll probably connect the dots there for you. So I don't know.
Let me know. We're always looking for great talent, though.
Awesome. Very, very cool. And you've got some awesome investors in Lightspeed and Greylock who are, been tier one forever.
Yeah, I mean, to be able to have leaders like Jerry Chen and other people that are part of the board meetings is exceptional. We get good guidance, and I think as long as we produce. But Brandy, I think you're bringing up a good point. You need to be able to have those quality investors, because as we've seen over the last 12 months or so, obviously it's a tough road. It's a tough road to be a startup. It's a tough road to try to get bridge funding. And we've seen example after example after example. So having those guys behind us is really solid.
Awesome. And for those watching along, just a reminder, if you want to make any comments or ask any questions, feel free. And Tucker does slice and dice this and share it all over social media after the fact. So anyway, so we've got our title topic is what's next for the channel. So you've certainly been around, seen a lot, and have some great point of views. But maybe just kind of to level set for you, what does it mean to be channel first?
Well, like I said, what it means is to be able to go to Palo Alto and talk about the channel in Greylock's boardroom, to be able to be part of a board meeting.
You don't mean Palo Alto Networks? You mean the?
No, I mean the city. Yes, absolutely. Well, I'm sure we'll get into competitors a little later, but yes, to be able to have a spot on a senior management team, which we call the SMT, very, very creative acronym. But yes, so to be able to have a seat on the pricing committee, on the product committee, to be able to have that, to be able to give the channel the voice that they deserve, because oftentimes it's just too late. Basically, hey, here's the pricing, here's the product, here's the strategy. How do we fit it into the channel? It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. And then, I think maybe the intuitive part of it is to be able to, be the radar, to be able to listen to what the channel community is saying, to be able to understand the difference when a channel partner is owned by an individual, owned by private equity, owned publicly.
Yep.
I mean, you really, it's not the game that it used to be. I know you and I talk a little bit about the value of operations and operational experience. I'll tell you, if you look at a number of the channel hires, number of the people that are in channel chiefs right now, it's a lot more than just kind of relationships. Relationships are extremely important, but there's other things too.
Yep, totally. And then the kind of margin pro, is yours a kind of MRR type sale?
Yeah, ARR, MRR, yes.
So that's different. Kind of certainly has evolved where it was used to be an on-prem, one-time buy price, big margin. Now kind of in effect that margin has kind of gets elongated. And you got to kind of be creative how you fund the channel and then how the channel companies actually pay their reps. So the reps are incented to sell, correct?
Yeah, and you also need to look at your churn. And you need to be able to look at a number of other factors. I mean, it's interesting. We were just kind of talking about this. And when you're in an ARR, we modeled a deal recently where the first deal, believe it or not, was $16,000. So it was crazy. And then by the time that the customer matured, it was $659,000 or 41x the upsell potential on the ARR. So, we're retaining customers 95% plus. Basically, our retention rate is even bigger when you look at the upsells, probably around 117%, et cetera. So that's all important. And and going back to the channel comment, if the partner is confident that when the customer has issues, and they always will, that you're going to respond on their behalf and you're going to keep that retention rate up. And then you're going to keep innovating. Like we just announced remote browser isolation. I can give you 45 minutes on that if you want. No, probably not. But the point is you keep giving the partner the opportunity to be able to upsell. Along with that too is really the multiplier effect. And people like Jay McBain and others have done a good job of highlighting this in the channel. You need to be able to give partner services opportunities. So one of the challenges that we have is we have a very, very self-install type product. One of the values of the product, but there's so much more opportunities for the partners to be able to do health checks, for them to be able to do, just revisions of the environment, to be able to make it better and better and better, to be able to expand sites. We have points of presence right now in North Africa and China. We have over 85 plus points of presence. We want to give the partners the opportunity to be able to be trained on a product, but trained in a way not just to operate the product, but to be able to make the customer environment better.
So with all this kind of changing landscape, how have you seen the skill sets evolve to kind of what used to be needed to kind of what it is now that's needed?
Yeah, I mean, so it's funny when you start to run a channel and you're on forecast calls, you tend to be an escalation point. And you tend to be a listener. Okay, you're very, very, very rarely the center of attention on a forecast call. When I was growing up in the channel, now it's a little bit different. Now you're expected to be able to have the right Salesforce dashboards, to be able to understand what conversion rates are off a deal registration, to be able to understand partner productivity, to be able to understand ROI on market development funds. It's a little bit of a different game, and the bar has definitely been raised in that aspect. I think, when you look at some of the people that are being hired, I'm fortunate enough, Greg's fortunate enough, Terry was fortunate enough, et cetera, to be able to ride that curve and to be able to evolve along the way. But there's a number of people that just relied on relationships that no longer have that job. And there's a number of people that have come from analytic backgrounds that now have channel chief jobs. So it's a little bit of both. It's not easy, Randy.
There you go. And what advice would you have for somebody that's maybe earlier in career that wants to get into the channel?
Well, the first advice would be to ask Tucker for some questions, because it's a great opportunity to learn on these webcasts. So as much as I enjoy just talking to you, it would be great to get some questions from the audience. The second part of it is, somebody once said that Eisenhower was one of the greatest presidents of the United States, and when asked why, it was because he was everything from a quartermaster to a cook, had 23 different jobs before he arose to the presidency. I would say, maybe we don't need 23 jobs, but to be able to start your career in direct sales, to be able to really have the credibility of carrying a direct quota, carrying a bag, I think it's really important. I think it helps in a channel job. If you have an opportunity to be able to do an assignment in marketing or an assignment in strategy and planning, like I did when I was over at HPE, I think that all counts. So it's never that straight line. It just doesn't work that way. And by the way, the more zigs and zags that you have, I'd say once you get there, the better off you are.
That's great. And then for those that are in the channel, what are some of the things that you look for in terms of promoting people up?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's much different than, Randy, what you and I have discussed in the past. I think it's work ethic. I think it's IQ. I think it's EQ. I think more importantly, it's the ability to own issues, to be accountable, to be able to execute to a number, whether that's a direct number or an indirect number. Not say, hey, it's out of my control, or basically these things are affecting the number, et cetera. It's just really that degree of ownership, and I think it's work ethic. I think it is. I mean, I've learned a lot from you. You're always on. I don't care whether it's 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, or whatever. I text you. I normally get a pretty good response.
There you go. And one of my hot buttons always was, okay, the PBMs, partner business managers that are actually can add value on sales calls or in sales situations as well, right? Instead of not just escalating into corporate, but they're kind of with it enough, not just kind of tracking a forecast, which is an admin job, but actually proactively adding value to the sales teams at the different channel partners, right?
I mean, I don't like cliches, but it's basically, do you want to make the news, or do you want to report the news? Do you want to play on the field, or do you want to sit in the stands? I think that's very true for channel account managers.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I love that, sitting in the stands or playing on the field. So
exactly,
that's a good one. And then what do you see for the future, or other trends, longer term in the channel?
Yeah. So I think you need to be able to look at the industries that have the largest CAGR right now. So if you look at SASE as an example, and it's a small part of the industry, but I'll just give you some numbers. It's probably grown at about 36% CAGR. So the hot trends are going to continue, and security is never going to go away. I mean, you're talking about it at World Economic Conferences, you're talking about it at Davos, et cetera. Obviously global warming, traumatic storms, other things are like big threats to the world. Well, security is like right in that discussion. I had an opportunity to be able to listen to a Citibank earnings call a few quarters ago, and security was mentioned on that. It was questioned by a number of different analysts. So it's real. So my point is, whether you're looking at observability, whether you're looking at AI or something like that, make sure that your company, even if it's a traditional data center company, has some of those trends in mind that they're acquiring. So you got to pick the right company. You got to pick the right leadership. As far as trends in a channel, there's always going to be partner programs. I think you need to be able to structure your partner program to be able to, as I said earlier, to be able to serve different masters. You need to be, before you even create a partner program, run it by your CFO and just basically say, hey, look, when I talk to you, what do you want on these charts? What metrics are important to you? Because if you're focused on this whole deal reg thing, and your CFO has no idea how a deal reg connects to an income statement or quarterly results, you're going to have a problem. So it needs to be a connected program internally. From an external perspective, you'll hear all kinds of different things. Basically, if you look at 2 years ago was customer experience was everything. So we want to pay you for the customer experience. Now, the popular mantra is, well, instead of making it medal-based or tier-based, we want to be able to make it points-based. What I would say is, along all of that, align your partner program to the buyer and seller's journey. Mark what's important on steps within a sales cycle to be able to achieve the result, and then pay the partner for those steps or those activities. For example, at Kato, we have somewhere around a 73% win rate when we get to POC. So what do we want to encourage our partners to do? Yeah, it would be great to sell $1 million a year, but you know what? Unfortunately, until you get to December 31st, you're not going to know whether you sold $1 million a year or not. Yep. So my point is, don't pay only on the trailing indicators, pay on the leading indicators. The final thing, and I'm going to steal this from Sanjay Poonen, who's the current CEO of Cohesity, is it's an Isaac Newton quote. If I have seen further, it's by standing on the shoulders of giants. And what it means is, if you have an ability to partner with Microsoft, with AWS, with some of the big mover and shakers, to be able to be in their marketplaces, GCP is another great example. Take advantage of that, but take advantage of it, how you become louder as a brand as a result of that. That would be my advice.
Totally. Awesome.